Hey everyone, thank you for joining me on this beautiful day once again. But you know what? Whenever you choose to join me, morning, afternoon, evening, nighttime, late at night, it doesn't matter. I appreciate the likes, the looks, the listens, but of course, I'd appreciate you hitting that subscribe and notification bell on my YouTube channel, Brooklyn Baritone. Of course, do that if you want to. No pressure at all. Don't forget the like button too if you feel so inclined. I was just talking with one of my good friends along this walk of this thing we call life, and he asked me to cover an issue that he has recently been going through personally, and I know a lot of people have been dealing with a lot of these things. I've dealt with it, and many people continue to deal with it. The issue or the subject that he wanted me to cover was about grief. That is a very heavy subject, and it can have an easy hair trigger with a lot of people, because a lot of people, they cope with it different ways. The thing about grief, it's different levels to it, layers to it, different impacts to it. Now, the grief that I'm talking about specifically is the loss of life, and especially the loss of a loved one that is close to you. Now, one of the biggest things that people ask every day who cope with it is, why do we have to go through with this? You know my channel. I always speak of following Elohim as I go through my path and my walk. So one of the questions many people ask, understandably, is that how could a loving God allow something such as grief and loss of life? Because it's the void that's there, the vacuum of a presence that you once had, a presence that you became accustomed to, a presence that you've invested a lot of time, a lot of focus, a lot of energy, a lot of downs, sorrows, but a lot of ups as well. And the potential, you have the memories there of times past, and then the potential of a future that you're looking for this individual, whether it could be a loved one in a family member, an associate, co-worker, someone you may have known, someone who may have been famous, who you may have been influenced by. Now, the thing that we have to understand, whether you want to accept it or not, it is what it is. Our Creator does not take joy in taking life. Now, I understand there are a lot of people who have the reservations based on certain things that happen in the book, but you have to go into that area with studies as far as taking life. But overall, when you know the character of our Creator, He didn't want to invest himself, his energy, his focus, his engineering on us just for the fact of us being snuffed out. And I definitely don't resign to the whole theory of we're just here by chance and by accident, and then once we die, that's it. Because if that's the case, what's the purpose of going on? There's no real purpose when everything's said and done. Because enough time, 100 years, 200 years, no one's going to care or matter. So that definitely does not encompass or envelop or even define what life is supposed to be. Now, the short end of the stick, which is what we're getting right now, is because we have to deal with loss. We have to deal with limitations in our current existence as we are now, because we simply are broken. That's the basic reason why we have to deal with the wickedness, the evil. We have to deal with ailments. We have to deal with sicknesses. We have to deal with debilitating and incapacitating factors, incidents, all these things that take away, that erase, that erode, that degrade our way of life, our enjoyment of life. It's our broken condition, basically brought in from sin, transgression. When people hear sin, unfortunately, they don't understand the whole enormity of that word. It's transgression. It's basically we're going off of the path of life. Put it short, Elohim, He is life. Everything that life is about, and everything that we need to do and walk in a certain way and act in a certain way so that we can make the most of this life. So anything that deviates from that, even in the slightest bit, is technically transgression. Transgression from the way of life. The way we treat each other, we can see money is our God here. And I'm not going to say this for every single person. Unfortunately, our value and our character is tied to money. It's all about the bottom line when it comes to businesses, when it comes to people and individuals, how much money you can make, how much money you can save, yada, 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 unfortunately. we've got it twisted. So when we hear about sin, people's like, oh, I heard about sin before. I've been to church, blah, blah, blah. Basically, sin is transgression. Transgression is any and everything that takes away from our value of life. The mindset that we have, we're broken. Yes, from Adam and Eve. It included sin, a certain type of mindset and being separated from the Father. And when we look at the things that we practice every single day, the way we live, our lifestyles, not getting enough sleep, is destructive to us. Does something to your mind, does something to your body. Stress from our family, from work, from situations that we may be in, that breaks down. It creates cortisol, among many things. It causes free radicals to fly around and float around your body. That causes inflammation, can lead to cancer, tumors, shut down, or stressing other organs in our body. Just from being stressed in a prolonged amount of time, that degrades our life. The foods we eat most definitely degrades our life. Even me, who's a vegan, a lot of things I eat that I'm not supposed to. I'm not talking about I go out and eat pork and drink dairy and stuff, but a lot of processed foods, I have to eliminate more. I've eliminated so much, but there's still so much more that I need to do. Because with my studies, furthermore, a lot of things, it allows your digestive system to not act in its proper way. So I don't want to drag it on because this is about grief. I'm just going through a little synopsis of things of how and why our lives gets broken down. I don't want to say things happen for a reason. Every single thing doesn't have a specific reason that we're going to understand or even know. What I do know is that, yes, we are broken overall. In general, we are broken. Our minds are broken. Our bodies are broken. Our emotions are broken. And unfortunately, these are factors that involve us every day that leads to the loss of life. Some people may become paralyzed. Some people may lose an organ or a limb. Some people, unfortunately, lose their life. And it's a heavy thing to deal with, especially if you're an individual and you lose your sight in your eye. You lose the ability to walk around. This is a part of the death that we have to deal with, unfortunately. Why is it happening? Because it has to be known and demonstrated that transgression, willful transgression, cannot coincide with life. We have to have a certain approach and stewardship. We have to deal with this now. It's basically we're living through a testimony. We're living through a testimony to understand, because the original rebellion was from the adversary, Lucifer. This is basically to show us and all the rest of creation why we need to follow the Father. This is allowing to be played out. We have to deal with it, unfortunately. It's a raw deal. I'm going to be straight up honest about it. It's a raw deal. But we have to deal with it, and we have to go through it and persevere and understand the lessons in life according to the book. This is why we have to do A, B, C. Not because the Father's forcing us to do it, because if we just do what we want to, based on our emotions and everything breaks down. And that's what's happening right now. Everything is breaking down. And unfortunately, that breakdown causes loss of life. I've dealt with loss with someone close to me. One of my brothers passed away some years ago, long time ago. And it was hard. It was hard. And there's moments where I feel sorrow. So time does heal, definitely. Yes. The pain is there. Yes, the pain is going to be there. It's going to be there. We have to understand how to manage it, push through it. We wish the person that we loved or miss were here. I definitely wish that was the case, but it's not. And then also not just my brother, but also his wife, my sister-in-law. I was very close to both of them. She passed on about 6 months after he did. So it was a hard loss, especially for our family. And I feel it sometimes, and I feel it definitely at times. But I can't stay there. You cannot stay there. It's easier said than done, but I've been there. There are people who went through some more serious loss than I. There are some parents who unfortunately lost their children. That is something that is terrible. Loss already, but then for you to outlive your child and lose your child before they even get to a point of proper fruition in a long life. But we can't stay there. And I understand the hurt. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to question God. It's quite okay to question God. Don't curse him. You are in your God-given right to feel all the things that you feel, but you can't stay there. That's kind of the basis of where the sins come from. We're allowed to feel certain things, but once we stay there, that's where the problems happen. That's where the 7 deadly sins basically are our emotions that we are allowed to feel. We get carried away with them. We don't become disciplined enough to keep our mind on track, to keep going. We could feel anger. We could feel a lot of things, but we can't go get carried away with it. And that's with grief. And understand, we come from the Father. The Father grieves every time someone is lost, not just life-wise or die, but, someone decides to go their own way or they're led astray. The Father grieves. And remember, we're made in his image. So just as he grieves, we grieve too. Remember, the base things that the Father feels, we feel too. That's where we get it from. It leads to us being very aware, being compassionate, being understanding of the life of our own lives, the lives of others around us, and the life of this planet, this world that's here for our functioning. So it's okay to feel that. And I can't dictate how everyone is supposed to feel about that. Everyone's going to deal with it differently. Some people let it all out. Some people keep it all in. Some people become distracted with things. Some people just give up. Again, this is part of the human condition. This is basically what it is. I can't sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say, well, everything happens for a reason and everything. And sometimes it could be. And sometimes it could be. We're not going to know. You're going to have to talk with Elohim. Yeah, build a relationship with him. It helps make sense of a lot of things. Not just make sense so it could just put my logic at ease, my mind at ease, just to believe something, just to make me feel better. No, you connect the dots to do enough research. It makes sense to do so. And hopefully, whenever that time comes, all these things will be revealed. All the pain is going to be swept away. These are promises that were made to us from our Creator. And as hard as it is, believe me, I know how hard it is because I still struggle, man. I still struggle with a lot of things, but I have to lean on understanding that I understand who the Father is and what he's done for us. He doesn't want us to suffer. This here, even though we live many, many years, is temporary. All of this is temporary. Even the things that we do get, we enjoy. Just remember, it's temporary. There's better things than what we have here. And all the terrible things, the crime, the losses, the deaths, it's all temporary. You have to remember that. And if you don't remember that, just remember it's because of our broken condition, unfortunately. Well, I don't want to drag out any more than I already did. But that's all I have on that. If you want to get more of my content and check out more of my merchandise, there's something there for everyone. Go to my website at brooklynbaritone.com. You can check out more of my video content on my YouTube channel, Brooklyn Baritone. I'm on LinkedIn under Corey Ashley. You can find me also on Instagram and on Facebook. You can get the audio versions of these podcasts on Google Podcasts, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music under Podcast. I also air on local Brooklyn Cable Television 4 times a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Verizon, Optimum, RCN, and Spectrum. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully I gave you guys a little bit more to think about. Anyways, I want you guys to walk good. If you're dealing with grief, take it one day at a time, man. It's okay. Anyways, hear from you next week. Father willing, walk good, be blessed. I'm out.